Hello, my darlings. It is me, Rosie Bits, here in the Tantric Temple in my lingerie, doing a little Tantric Tips with Rosie Bits video for you today, all about having the sexiest date ever. Tantric tips for a very sexy Valentine's and really a sexy date anytime. Okay, so let's get started. Are you ready for a sexy date? Probably not. You know what? Especially if you've been in a partnership for a while, or you've been married and you've got kids, you might be tapped out on what a sexy date is gonna look like. So I'm gonna give you this might be my shortest video yet, because I'm gonna give you just the easiest little tips so that you can just create something super sexy, super fast, and enjoy. Okay, so I would say my first tip is make sure that you have uninterrupted time together. So plan some time, just you and your beloved. You're not going to be interrupted. You can turn your cell phones off when you get together. If you have children, they're being babysat. Well, if you can do that in the pandemic, I don't know. Or they're well in bed, fully asleep, and you are going to be completely just you and your partner. Okay, number one, uninterrupted time. Number two, plan something sensual. Engage all your senses. And you know what? A lot of female-bodied people tend to neglect this step when they're planning for say, a cisgendered man. And I want to say cisgendered men love to have their senses engaged. Everybody does. It doesn't matter your gender. We are sensual beings. So whether you're planning this date for a woman or a man or a non-binary person, make sure to utilize all the senses. When I am planning dates, I would say my very best Valentine's that I ever had was with my former partner, and both he and I had created like we had like a double date that night. I got to plan the first part and then he planned the second part. And I had planned to give him a beautiful, proper tantric lingam massage in this beautiful space that I was renting at the time. And I had, you know, rose petals on the way to the massage table. I had treats and food there, beautiful things to drink. I don't drink alcohol, so I had water I'd infused with fruit all day. The whole room was aesthetic, gorgeous to look at. So as soon as he walked in, he was like, oh, like, where am I? And then there were these rose petals that he could walk along, and I gave him the most sensual, gorgeous massage. I also dressed myself up, so I looked fabulous. I was a tasty snack for that night in all the senses. Everything smelt beautiful. It was incredible. And then I had a number of things planned, so lingam massage being one of them, which anybody who's had a proper tantric lingam massage knows like that's like an hour and a half. And then I had a few other sexy things planned for that evening as well. And then we actually went back to his apartment where he had a whole dinner planned, which was gorgeous, of food that I loved. And I can't remember, I think we spent the rest of the night just making love and being in love and all that sort of stuff and giving each other presents. But the point was the whole night was based around our senses, right? I had like fragrant massage oil to massage his body with. We had all the flowers that were in our surroundings. We had incense burning. The room was gorgeous. We had treats for my part of the date and then a beautiful dinner for his part of the date, right? It was like all these things. I had a playlist that I had made specifically for that night. So infuse all the senses and make sure that, again, it doesn't matter what gender you're planning for, make sure that you're doing all the sexiest things. Okay, which leads me to my next tip. Bring your highest self, right? Bring your highest self. So the way I used to get into these Valentines, I remember even being a teenager and doing this, of just before something like Valentine's would even happen, I was in a state where already I had decided that it was probably going to be awful, that I was going to be disappointed, that I wouldn't get what I want. And I remember one of my first boyfriends, he actually had planned this beautiful date night for us. He bought me presents. We went out somewhere fancy for dinner, but I was so immersed in my idea that I was going to be disappointed, I ended up ruining the whole night for both of us. And we actually broke up that night. So, you know, that came from my own background in trauma and having a really hard time receiving love. And it took me some years to sort that shit out. So what I'm saying is, but as an adult now, as a teenager, I didn't know what that was about. As an adult, I can choose to bring my highest self and be open. So what I'm doing, even to combat some of that old feeling, is instead of relying on the other person to make everything great, I'm bringing my highest self and I am bringing my A game to that sexy date. So that means I am planning the best date. And if they show up also with the best date, awesome. And if they don't, that's fine, because I don't have an expectation of one of us is supposed to be like, you know, my partner has to do the sexy date because I did it last time. No, I'm going to show up with just the best sexy date plans no matter what, right? So bring your highest self and bring a self that is compassionate, that is loving, that has already got their cup filled. So you can't bring your highest self if you're always putting your needs on the back burner. So make sure that you fill your own cup before you come to this date, whatever that looks like, right? It might mean that you're going to need to spend some more time on your own that week in preparation. It might mean that you're going to ask your partner to do a few things for you to help you out, to make some dinners, or you know, whatever is going to relieve your stress so that you can show up as your highest self. Whatever that is, do it so that by the time you get to that date, you are so excited to spend time with your partner and to show them what you've created for the two of you. Okay, so that is tip, I believe, number 3. My tip number 4 is to also prep yourself sensually before the date. So not only are you going to take some time to fill your cup, you're going to get yourself feeling sexy before that date happens. So by the time your partner walks in the room, you're going to want to pull their clothes off. And they're going to feel that sexy energy. So you can spend a little bit of time self-pleasuring. Maybe you're going to read some erotica. Maybe as part of your date, you're going to plan out some erotica that you two can read with each other. I would say that you also could spend time sending your partner texts during the day or little pictures, you know, just saying to them, I'm so excited to see you. Here is a sneak peek of what I'm wearing tonight. Or here are the things I hope we might get to at the end of the evening, right? Build up that anticipation within your own body and then include your partner, because that is so sexy and juicy, and so much about sexuality takes place in our brain. Like most of it takes place in there. So I want you to be building that up throughout the whole day for you and also for them. That's part of the gift of what you're going to be giving them. Okay, so that was tip number 4. Tip number 5 is going to be that you speak words of love and affirmation. So you are going to start your date with your partner, looking into their eyes, slowing down, taking some deep breaths together, getting connected. You're going to put your regular day aside. I don't want you to talk about it. If you have business to talk about before the date, and then be like, now it's date time. So you're going to put whatever is going on in your life aside, take some deep breaths, do some eye gazing, and then you're going to start speaking words of love and affirmation. So you're going to tell, before the date's even started, you're going to tell your partner the things that you most love about them, the things that really you're feeling heart connected. You're going to start with 3 affirmations each. And then through the period of that date, you are going to speak words of love to them. You're going to look at them. You're going to talk about their body as you undress them. If things are going to get sexy, if things aren't going to get sexy, you're going to make a comment on how beautiful they look or how handsome they look or how much you appreciate what they brought. Even if it wasn't what you were expecting, you are going to find some deep levels of gratitude to express to your partner throughout the evening. And if you get to the point where you're making love, and I certainly hope you do, after all those sexy texts and the erotica and the getting yourself all juiced up, you're going to want to make love. I want you to take time through that love-making session to speak those words of love, an affirmation, to just talk about how great their body is, how much you desire them, how you feel loved and safe with them, you know, all of the things that you adore about them. This is going to make it into a very juicy date. Just those 5 tips are going to make you have probably the best night of your life. And if you and your partner are both, show your partner this video. If you guys are both coming from that intention, you're gonna have a spectacular night. The best Valentine's I ever had, as I mentioned earlier. I planned out this whole spectacular date night, as did my partner. We had like a double date, which was just us, on Valentine's. It was amazing. We had so many presents. We made love so many times that night. It was super sexy. It was super connected, because we were doing all those things when we were both bringing our highest selves. It was like a game. Like, what can I do that is going to be the best thing ever for him? What is going to be the most sexiest, most fun, and is going to make him feel the most love? And he was coming from that perspective too. I remember how nervous he was because he was quite young at the time. And I was his first real committed relationship. So he didn't have a lot of experience with Valentine's. And he was nervous, like calling his friends, like, what can I do for this woman? But because we both had that intention, it was spectacular. It was such a beautiful night. So go have fun, have the best Valentine's. If you are like me and you are single this Valentine's, do something sexy for yourself or get together with your friends. I'm gonna go and be my very good friend's Valentine. We are gonna go out and do fun, beautiful, maybe less sexy things, but we're still gonna have a great time because it's always the time to celebrate love and sensuality. Okay, I'll see you next week. Love you.